everybody, it's Lisa, Pink Glitter Scrapper, and I am here today with Spiegel Mom Scraps layout for you. At the beginning of my video, you saw a layout by the incredibly talented Jennifer Orr, who was guest designing for us this month. I have here Southern Bluebells, Sunny Days Ahead, Sprinkling Kindness, and Sparkle Power sequin mixes, as well as some pattern papers which may look a little peculiar altogether to you, but I promise they will make sense momentarily. These are the photos I'll be scrapbooking. I instantly saw Jennifer's layout and I thought the way that they were in a progression like that in the layers, that instead of highlighting the rainbow aspect like she did, I could highlight a photo of Charger from each of the 4 seasons, since we have now had him about 3 weeks over an entire year. So he has been with us for all 4 of his first seasons. And I just went through and picked my favorite pictures from the spring, this past summer, fall, and now winter, which it feels like we're still in. But I chose each of those 4 photos, I printed them in wallet size, and now I am going through the pattern papers that you saw I had chosen, and I am tearing them into the strips, just like Jennifer had at the bottom of her layout. I chose pattern papers to highlight each of the 4 seasons on the bottom half of my layout. I have a really pretty spring floral paper. I've got the fish, which is going to represent my summer because his picture is at the beach. I have a fall leaf pattern paper, and now I have these adorable snowmen to represent winter. So I did just tear them using my straight edge ruler. And this blue piece of paper you see me working with right now is also the one that I use for spring, and I want a piece of that at the top of my layout also. So I'm just going to go ahead and take my paper trimmer and get a straight piece to layer at the top. Everything here is about 1 inch wide, in case you were wondering, and wanted to do this on your own for any theme. This was a really fun layout to get multiple photos, and here's the star of the show himself. Charger snuck down to my scrapbook room and just had to take a peek and say hello to you guys. So there is the star of today's layout, Mr. Charger himself. He's a little Cocker Spaniel, in case anybody is wondering what breed he is. Like I said, we've had him for about a year, and he has been the biggest joy ever. He's the best thing we've ever decided to go ahead and get, and I'm just so in love with him, even after a year. Still obsessed with that guy. It's hard not to be. He's just super sweet. So I am now going to start the layers at the bottom, and I am going in the order from which we got him. So we got him last March, so that was spring. We had him for the summer, so the summer paper is going down next. I'm adding the fall strip in right here, and I'm just layering them one underneath of each other from the one that is below it. And I'm also going to, the photos are also in order that we got them. So spring, summer, fall, and winter. And that is the order that I chose to do the papers in. And I just put a little bit of adhesive down, and then just 1 strip is all it took, and I just layered them on top of each other. Now this is the strip that's going to go at the top of my layout, just to sort of give it a not closed in look, but to give it a nice division for the center to let the photos really stand out when I get them in. Now I am going to bring in my photos and some of the other patterns that I'm going to be using. This is a very subtle blue, and he is a boy, so I'm using some blues on this layout. The soft cardstock that you see right now is very pale, and this is where the photos are going to be on. I'm just going to mat them all in a row like a film strip going sideways, and I will explain them as I lay them down. The first one that I have is a spring photo. Actually, that photo was taken maybe, I'm going to say, no more than a week after we first got him. He had just had his first grooming, and he looks so handsome, and he's probably about 13 weeks old there. The next photo is his very first trip to the beach, where we discovered he's very much a beach dog and loves it, and he just looks soaking wet and still very happy. The next one was the time we had our leaves piled up in the backyard. He had a ball running through them, making a huge mess. And the same goes for snow. He is a snow-obsessed dog. When you say, "Look, Charger, there's snow," he will run to the back door, even in the middle of summer, looking for it. He's just a dog for all seasons. He is happy and just so much fun no matter what time of the year it is. But the past winter we had a huge blizzard, and that last photo, the snow was deeper than him, and he was trying to hop through it to get out of a snowdrift he had accidentally wandered into. So those are the 4 photos that I'm using to highlight each of the 4 seasons, and now I'm just trimming down the excess cardstock to create a very thin mat and border around the 4 pictures. I did leave a little bit of a gap between each of them just to give them a little bit of division. The last photo on the end is very white, so it's hard to get a good, clean, separating line between that one, but I still think it looks pretty darn cute from here. Now I want to pop them up on some foam tape so they really stand out and they don't get lost in all of the really fun stuff I have going on this page. So a little bit of foam tape, and then I'm going to start creating the layer that is going to go across the middle of my layout, creating the strip where these photos are going to live. The paper that I'm working with right now is a very light, almost paisley print. It's tone on tone light blue, and I just really thought it complemented all of the seasonal papers I have down below, as well as the spring paper at the top of the page. And now for some interest or contrast, I am going to take this black and white polka dot paper, and I'm going to tear strips to get that torn look on the edges, and I'm going to layer that underneath the top and the bottom of that paisley blue pattern paper that I just adhered the photos to. And I just really like the way that this pop of black and white looked against all of the colors and the seasonal icons and everything going on. I just thought it was a really cool sort of interest and something to catch your eye, somewhere for it to almost rest. Even though it's a little bit of a busy pattern, I still really like the look that this gave, peeking out from underneath the photo area. And I just go ahead and I layer them on top of the ATG that I ran across the top and the bottom and trim off the extra. I flip it over, make sure it's still straight. I'm trying to use my grid mat that you see on my work desk, and that kind of really did help me keeping sure that the amount showing was even on the top and the bottom. So if you guys have a grid mat, I use it for more than my workspace. I actually use the lines on it, and it really does help my scrapbooking a ton. So now that the papers are down, I can flip it over and take a look. This one did tear a little bit trying to get it back up, but it wasn't lined up properly, so I'm just going to go ahead and keep messing around with it. It didn't hurt anything. I'm just going to add some more ATG and mess with it until I get it looking just right. And now I am happy with the way that it looks, and I'm going to add it back onto the layout just to make sure I like the way everything looks, and it looks great. So I'm going to take some ATG, run it along, and stick that right in the middle of the white space there. And I'm just going to line up each of the edges and make sure that it fits perfectly across the center. What I'm going to bring in now is probably the ephemera and the embellishments. So these are stickers that I found in my huge drawer of stickers that I don't use nearly enough. I pulled out some pieces that I thought would work for each season. I have a beautiful glittery flower down on the spring one. I just added 2 flip-flops to the summer one at the beach, which is the perfect one to use because he likes to grab my flip-flops at the beach and run off with them. The one I just stuck down there is a yellow leaf to mimic the leaf pile that he's in. And for winter, I'm going to use these really pretty foam glittered snowflakes. I'm going to add a large one to the bottom, and then I'm going to add 2 of these sparkly ones, one to the top corner and one down below next to the larger snowflake. And I just thought it was really neat how each of the icons lined up perfectly with each season. I was so happy I was able to find something for all 4 seasons. Now I am going to bring in the sequin mixes. I'm going to use Sparkle Power. I'm going to use different elements from that mix along the springtime border. Then I'm going to bring in, I believe, the orange Sunny Days Ahead and use that in the summer strip because they really complement the bright, bold colors of all of the different fish in that one. Sprinkling Kindness goes in the fall strip. And then Southern Bluebells are going to complement the winter one perfectly. They were the greatest shades of blue. So I just love the way that each of these sequin mixes, although meant for something else, worked beautifully for different seasonal elements. So here I am. And I do wind up switching them off camera. You'll see in a minute when I go and start sticking down my title, I switch them out. I also wanted to mention that I did use some of the clear morning dewdrop sequins just for some added sparkle all around, and I love the way that it looks. So here I have the title complete. It's just simply 4 Seasons with Charger. I love the title. I used some tiny gold thickers. I stitched around the border, and that completes my layout. I will link all of the sequin mixes and products I used down below. There will be some still close-up photos at the end, and I hope you guys have an amazingly wonderful scrappy day. Bye!